Hey guys, Sharp and Taste here, coming at you with a brand new recipe. This one is for kind of a breakfasty meal that I learned at a culinary school last week. I don't quite know what to call it other than like chorizo scrambled egg stuff. Very, very simple to do, delicious breakfast recipe. Impress your friends, eat it yourself. That's what I'm doing. I'm eating breakfast right now, so thought I'd make a video of it. So, very simple recipe. All you're going to need for it is half, maybe a medium onion. I'm doing this as a 2-egg variety. I'd usually maybe go for a 3 or 4 egg variety for a breakfast for me. But I only had 2 eggs, so we're going with a 2-egg amount. So yeah, just double this, triple this, however much you're going to need. So you're going to need half of a medium to large size red onion. Red onion will impart a different kind of flavor, kind of a sweetness to it. You're going to need a bunch of cilantro, and I'll show you how to break this down later. 2 eggs, some chorizo, delicious stuff, don't read the ingredients, butter. You can use cheese. If I'm going to put cheese on it, I'd put Mexican cheese. You could also just put cheddar, you could put any cheese on it. Personally, I'm not a big cheese person, but I'm going to try it with this today just for a change. Yeah, other than that, you're going to need kind of a medium-sized pan, a whisk for the eggs, good old sharp knife as always, and a bowl to whisk your eggs in. Alright, let's get started. Alright, first step, we're going to be dicing our onion. I have a video on this if you want to check it out. This one's a weird, fat little onion, so it's kind of difficult to do without crying simply because the root extends the whole length of the thing. But it's doable. We're just going to do a fine dice, maybe 1/4 of an inch. You want it fairly fine because you don't want to be eating this and just have a sudden big old chunk of onion in your mouth and a big old crunch and this huge blast of onion flavor that overwhelms all the other flavors. So, fairly small dice, easy enough to do. I mean, we're just going to come a 1/4 inch up right about here. Through. This onion is also very old, so it's sticky and not the best onion. We're going to come in here. Come on now. Pop that off. Just coming through, coming across. Check out my video on how to do this. I go into much more detail about what I'm doing. Right now I don't really have time to do a whole other video about it. But you're going to want to go really small on this, like I said. And this is going to just add really good flavor. It adds, like, as I said, kind of a sweetness to the whole dish. And personally, I just love red onions. We're going to come back. Alright. One more out of this one. Leave this root section. This is a weirdo onion. Wouldn't have liked to have that much waste, but what can I do? This is a weird onion. So, there you have it. 1/4 inch or so dice on the onion. I'm going to put this aside and start working on the cilantro. It's weird onion. Did not cut how I wanted it to cut, but that's how things work. Yeah, that's good. Alright. Now normally I would want to wipe down the station before I continue on with the cilantro, but it's not a big deal. I'm just having breakfast. So how you do cilantro and any herb like this, like flat leaf parsley, curly leaf parsley, anything that you can see has the same form and shape as this, like thyme is going to be a completely different story, tarragon is going to be a completely different story, but anything that's kind of like this, how you see that it has long stalks and then they break off like this into bigger leaves, you're going to be able to break it down like this. You're going to take your knife, put it at kind of flat angle, and just run it along the bunch. This is much better than picking off the leaves one by one, I can guarantee you right now. And this will just cut off most of the leaves. You might get a few stems, which is fine, like this one. We're just going to move that out of the way. I have enough cilantro. I'm going to break that off like so. You can have some stems, like smaller stems. Those do add a little bit of flavor. It's kind of nice. But you don't need big old fat stems. So we're going to remove these fat stems. Now, I don't know a true amount of cilantro you're going to want. It all depends on your tastes. But I'd say for the 2-egg recipe, probably a tablespoon of cilantro will do. Yeah, a tablespoon. Simply because cilantro has a good flavor. Cilantro, if you haven't had it before, the flavor completely reminds me of salsa. So when you think of salsa, that kind of flavor, that hard to describe Mexican flavor, is it's a lot of the cilantro because they put whole bunches of cilantro in a salsa. So now what you're gonna do in order to get this into, we're gonna be finely mincing this because again, you don't want to eat a whole cilantro leaf, just block out all the rest of the flavors. So you're gonna kind of want to bunch it up. I kind of fold it on into itself. Fold it on up here. Once you get that nice and bunched up, and we're doing this so that it's easier to mince, not because it's doing anything to all these cells. Then you're just going to come through and very finely just mince it up this way. This is going to end up with kind of a chiffonade shape, which is like those long little ribbons that you'll see sometime. And that's just how we're going to start. And as you can see, I keep bunching it up right here. And you're just going to want to cut through the whole thing. Keep those fingers tucked back, because otherwise you're going to cut the crap out of your fingers doing this. And now I'm going to come across this way, a hand on top of the knife, and just rock and chop. All the way across. Now it's probably going to see me sit here and chop, but it's good technique. It'll give you a kind of sense of what you should be doing. You want to make sure on this, it's really important that you get an even chop on this, because if you don't, I mean aesthetically it's not going to look that nice, and then taste-wise you're again going to have a very uneven cilantro flavor. And a lot about cooking is consistency, because if one person at your table has a huge hit of cilantro in their dish and like, wow, you put a lot of cilantro in this, and then the other people are really lacking cilantro, then it's kind of unfair. Just consistency is key. I want to make sure all your cuts are very consistent. We're going very fine on this. Alrighty then. Take off these 2 pieces that we cut. And there we have our cilantro. It's fairly consistent. I could have gone finer on it, but that's all I'm really asking for right now. And put this aside. I'll go in later. Now we're going to work on our eggs. Wipe this down for a second so that anything else I cut is not going to be all cilantro-y. Kind of mixed up that and the onions a little bit right there, whatever. That's fine, nobody panic. But next we're going to work on the eggs. So you have 2 eggs. So you're going to crack them into the bowl. I have another video on how to crack an egg one-handed, which is very useful right now because it means that this hand is not getting dirty, and it's really convenient, and you look cool while you're doing it. So, and that's it. I'm gonna wash my hands because you don't want raw eggs all over the rest of your ingredients. I mean, granted, all this stuff is gonna be cooked, but it's just safety first, right? Salmonella does not feel good. Break up the yolks, and then just whisk it up. Generally, when I'm doing eggs, I start by going side to side with the whisk, because then you can get really. It's much faster if you just go side to side instead of trying to go this really fast. Just in the hand and wrist, back and forth, quickly, moving up and down the bowl, just trying to break up the white of the eggs. And I mean, you'll know you're done when you don't have big old chunks of clear looking stuff within your eggs. And that, I'm trying to spin it around here, make sure I get all of it, so it doesn't bunch up at the sides. It's really important that you make sure that you really whisk your eggs in anything that you're doing, because otherwise you are going to end up with random like white flecks and random like little just patches of white stuff, and it won't cook at the same rate, so you're going to have a random like rubbery white thing in your dish, and that's just not good. That's bad. Alright, eggs are done. You can see there's really only a couple. I mean, you're not going to be able to get all of them. Just going to put that out right now. There's only like a couple of the white specks. That's enough. Alright, set that aside. Oh, poop. Wipe that up. I need to grab one of those rubber things. I'm not going to right now. They sell these little cool rubber mats that you can put under your cutting boards. that keep it from sliding around like that. I love it. Alright, now for the chorizo. Don't want too much because it's going to look really ugly if you have too much chorizo. This is right now about half of a thing of chorizo. Trying to decide how much I want. I kind of like it on the heavier side of the chorizo, so I'm going to use about 3/4 of this. So I'll give you about an amount thereafter. So you're going to need to remove this from the casing. So I just take my knife, run it down the side of the casing to the point where I'm going to be stopping, so about right here. And then you just peel it off. This is pretty much a plastic casing on the chorizo. I don't think it's intestines for chorizo. Then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pinch off little balls of chorizo. About this big, maybe the size of a marble, or maybe a little bigger than that. And just go down the line, see how much you want. I think I'm going to want to have, let's see. You know, I'm having trouble deciding how much chorizo I want. Because last time I made this, I had way too much chorizo, and chorizo imparts a really orangish yellow kind of hue, color to the dish. And the dish looked funny. It had way too much chorizo. But you're going to want a decent amount. I mean, for 2 eggs, I'd say this is probably good. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then let's go 14 on this. 13. 14. That's good. There's stuff there. You can see there's this orange stuff coming off already on my hands. But so about 14 or so marble-sized balls of chorizo, half of a medium onion, 2 eggs, about a tablespoon, maybe a little more cilantro, and we're going to use probably 2 tablespoons of butter. The butter is just to sweat the onions and just kind of provide a liquid for the pan. So yeah, crap all over my hands. So alright, we're all ready to cook. This is our mise en place. I'm about to make a video about what that's about. And you want to set up like this before you cook anything. Now, we got our pan on the heat. I'm going to turn it to about medium, just for the sake of sweating the onions, because that's what we're going to do first. So what you're going to really want to do first, get about 1.5 tablespoons to 2 tablespoons of butter. I got that right here. Plop that in your pan. You always want to heat your pan before adding your butter, so I'm going to wait 15 more seconds or so. Let this heat up. And then I'm going to put my butter in it. Just, I don't know, you don't want to put oil in a cold pan and then put it on the heat. I don't know why. Can't explain why. It just doesn't work right. Not going to taste as good. Alright, that's hot. You can see the butter already starts to melt as soon as I put it in. Now, forgot to put in the original thing. You're going to need a spatula, but hopefully you have those handy. So once this butter melts, we're going to be adding in our onions and just sweating them, which... When a recipe refers to sweating something, all that it's calling for you to do is cook it until it's like translucent. Basically, cook it to the point where it's just before it has any color. So we're going to want to cook these onions until before they caramelize. You're not going to want them to start turning brown and caramelizing, because if you caramelize them at the beginning, then at the end when we're adding in the final, like the the eggs, cilantro, at the very end, it's just not. Your onions are going to be black by then, because we're adding all these into. We're not stopping the cooking of the onions before we start everything else. Alright, swizzle this around. That's about done. I'm going to turn up my heat a little bit, just for the sake of the butter. And move that around. Alright, now you're going to know your pan is hot. I've done this before in recipes. You take a tiny little piece of our onion. Here, well, this one's all bad. I did a poor chop on these onions, I'll point out. But, so take a little piece of onion. Doesn't need to be big, just a little tiny one. Drop it in. If it starts to sizzle as soon as you put it in, your pan's hot enough. Obviously, my pan's not hot enough because that piece of onion went in no sizzle whatsoever. So I'm just going to let this go. Heat it up. Sorry, waiting on the butter. Probably edit this little piece out. If not, it's all in cooking, right? Alright, that's starting to sizzle. We're ready to rock. onions. Add in all my onions at the same time. Just drop those right in the pan. Don't be afraid to use heat on these. I just want to point out, if you're using really low heat because you're afraid of burning the onions, you're doing it wrong. Alright, drop all the onions in. That's the first step. We're going to mix these about. Get them all coated in the butter. Oh, that was terrible. Pretend you didn't see that. That's embarrassing. Basically all I was doing right there, it's just a quick thing you can do. It allows you to not have to deal with a spatula. Very quick little wrist move. Anytime you're cooking anything in a pan like this, you can do this. You just kind of tilt it away from you and just flick it back. Just flick your wrist. Don't forget that part. I'm doing terrible this morning. Sorry, it's early. Don't judge me. Alright, so what we're looking for on these is no color, but they're going to be kind of translucent. So, let's keep swinging these around. God, this onion is really pissing me off. Look at this. I minced it finely, and there's still a huge chunk because this onion. I blame the onion, honestly. Not my fault. Alright. I'm going to wait on these. So while we're waiting, I'm going to describe the other steps. The next thing we're going to do is add our chorizo and get that to start cooking. You're going to know that it's time to put in the other things when the entire kind of bottom of the pan is nice orange, kind of yellow, goldish. See, that's the kind of the oils from the chorizo being released, the seasoning from the chorizo. After that, we're going to add in our eggs, and then finally the cilantro right after we put in the eggs. And then we're just going to scramble the eggs with everything else in it. Alright, these onions are about done. There's lots of little pieces of just translucent onion. Not too much color. In fact, there's no color, which is exactly what we want. Alright, time to add in the chorizo. You just want to spread this around your pan. Try not to pump it up too much because you need an even distribution of that seasoning on the onions. Alright, you can already see right around here the orange kind of flavor getting pulled out of the chorizo. Just kind of mix this up with the onions. If you notice anything getting like kind of this char looking stuff, that's just fond is what they call it. Sticking to the bottom of the pan, that's from the butter and the onions. You're going to want to scrape that up. It's lots of good flavor. Don't be afraid, it's good. The chorizo is going to start to break apart because that chorizo has nothing keeping it together like a sausage or something would. So, that's fine. Don't worry about it. Let it go. Alright, you can see this orange is starting to go all over these onions. You're going to want to make sure it coats the onions because that's just the oils and stuff from the chorizo. Really great flavor it adds. Scraping the bottom for all that fond that's forming. One, it does make your dishes easier. Two, it's got a lot of good flavor. Alright, so now that we've got the chorizo and the eggs all set up, you can see the chorizo is kind of broken apart, turning a little bit of a different color, kind of a deeper red, less orangey. We're going to want to turn our heat down and add in the rest of our ingredients. That's going to be our eggs. Just dump those right in. And cilantro. Just going to sprinkle that around. That's definitely a lot of cilantro, but I like it that way. Alright, and just mix this up. If you ever made scrambled eggs before, that's all you're doing right now. It's just with a whole bunch of stuff in it. It's going to kind of start to clump up, and that's good. It's just the eggs forming up. Now, I probably could have done with less onions, less chorizo, for the amount of eggs I have. So maybe this is a 3-egg amount. But frankly, I like the onions and chorizo to be kind of strong in this dish. It just, I find the taste to be good. But, you know, as you can see, it kind of looks mottled a little bit. It looks alright. Now, you're probably wondering how you're going to know when your eggs are done. Only way you're going to know is by taste testing. So, what you're going to want to do, get out your salt and pepper, because I can already tell you right now that it's going to need salt and pepper. Just add that right on top. Now, just so you know, if you're wondering about the cheese, that's going to be like the last thing we do. after you season it and everything, if you're gonna want cheese, after this first seasoning, you're gonna add it. I'm gonna add cheese this time. I'm gonna change it up. So what you're gonna want to do with the cheese, just get it melted. So I'm gonna add maybe like a small handful of cheese. The cheese is really up to you. Just kind of sprinkle it about the pan. That's enough. And the reason I do this before my final seasoning of the food is the cheese has lots of salts in it, and if you add tons of salt, you season it first, you get it perfectly seasoned, and then you add cheese, then you're gonna have problems because it's gonna be way over salted. You can see all that fond there. Try and scoop it up because that's delicious flavor that's just chilling there at the bottom. So once it becomes kind of loose and chunky like this, you know that you're pretty much done. I'm going to take it off the heat because I know that the eggs are done cooking. And I'm going to add more cheese. Simply because I want something kind of sticky, glue it all together. I'm going to check. I'm sorry if this is out of frame. I'm just adding more cheese just like I did. Alright, let me check on this. Yeah, it's almost out of frame here. The reason I moved it off of this burner is because the cast iron has enough residual heat in it to, well, you know, keep cooking all the food. It's gonna overcook your food. So mix this up. You could add more cheese if you wanted. I'm done with the cheese. Could you use a non-stick for this? Yeah, I just kind of like the stainless steel simply because of the flavor it implies. You can get the fond. Adds a nice flavor. Alright, now I'm going to taste it. Let's see, check on the doneness here. It's really good. Just so you know, the chorizo is going to have a tiny bit of spice, if you didn't know that already. It's got a little bit of spice to it. I think I'm pretty much good on seasoning. I'm going to add a little bit of pepper just to kind of balance it out. Mix that up, and then I'm done. This is all ready to serve. As you can see now, the onions are nice and caramelized because they've been cooking with all the other things. Chorizo is nice and cooked down. The cilantro is kind of mixed in there, giving it kind of a green hue. If you wanted, you could garnish this with some cilantro on top after you serve it, like a couple leaves. Just for aesthetics, it would look nice. And you can see the eggs are nicely scrambled. Not too hard, not too soft. Overall cooking time on this was about 15 minutes. And that's just for me because, I mean, I could have gotten this done way faster, but I'm explaining it, I'm kind of doing everything. So I'd say a cooking time on this, once you've kind of done it a couple times, would be about a 10-minute breakfast, supposing you have all the ingredients. Which is great. This is a very healthy breakfast. It's got your protein, it's got your eggs. I mean, it's a good breakfast. It's not the best. I mean, it's got lots of fat. Chorizo's got lots of fat, but it's healthy. It's gets you energized in the morning. So try this out. Cook it up, enjoy it. This is all ready to serve. I just plop that on a plate and I'm good to go. I'll have some chocolate milk with this simply because it's delicious. Yeah. So enjoy your breakfast, guys. Check out my new videos. Got more coming. And I hope you have a really great day. Alright. See you guys.